We'll call the order of the Stephenville Special Town Council meeting agenda for Thursday, December 18th. Now, would you please take the roll call?
Councilmember Bragg. Here. Councilmember Barker. Here. Councilmember Brown. Here. Councilmember Smith.
Here.
And Mayor Michelson.
Here, would you all please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Moving on to item number 3, public comments and anything not on the agenda tonight.
I have.
Sue Devlin, 6th Street. Why is the meeting tonight at 5:30 and most town council meetings are at 6:30?
Because most of our special town council meetings are at 5:30 or 6.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments on the, not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business item number 4A, discussion decision, mitigation ponds easement and water rights transfer agreement between the town of Stephenville and Mr. Reeves. So if it's all right with the council, I'd like to get a motion and a second, which will open it up for discussion. And also, if Mr. Ross or Mr. Post so chooses, they can get up to the podium and they can discuss this and fill you in. That's okay with the council. Okay, with that, could I get a motion, please? Councilmember Barker.
I make a motion to discuss mitigation ponds easement and water rights transfer agreement between the town of Stevensville and Mr. Reeves.
We have a motion by Councilmember Barker. Do we have a second? Councilmember Bragg.
I second.
We have a motion. We have a second by Councilmember Bragg. With the council's permission. Ross, would you like to?
Yeah, if you'd like, I can, my name's Ross Miller. I'm the water rights attorney for the town of Stevensville. Maybe I'll just do a little, there's some history behind this. I can kind of recap a little bit of that history, if you would. What we're dealing with this easement with Reeves is we're fixing what's a pretty considerable problem with a water right that was granted to the town of Stevensville in 2011 by DNRC. And that water right was specifically for the new Twin Creeks, or what was the new Twin Creeks subdivision. A condition on granting that water right was that the water use out of the Twin Creek wells would be mitigated and offset by mitigation water that would then be, which would basically be surface water, in particular surface water rights that would be routed into a series of 3 ponds on what at the time was the developer's property. Back then, their Twin Creek subdivision was being developed by a developer by the name of Anderson. Anderson owned the property on which the current Twin Creeks development is situated, and he also owned the property on which that Reeves have since bought, and on which the 3 ponds at issue are situated. And a condition on Stevensville granting that subdivision and DNRC granting that water rights permit at the time was that the again, those water right, the new water use out of the Twin Creeks wells be mitigated or offset by this mitigation water that was to be put in the mitigation ponds, and that those ponds be, and that mitigation system be transferred to the town. That permit was granted in 2011. There's a copy of that permit attached as Exhibit C to the easement, so that we know what we're talking about. And I can read right on the abstract of the permit. It says, diversion under this permit may not commence until the aquifer recharge plan, that's the mitigation plan, is legally implemented. Diversion under this permit must stop if the aquifer recharge plan in amount, location, duration, ceases in whole or in part. That actually never happened. And as I just read from this water right abstract, which was again an attachment to the easement, that's legally required. What happened back in 2011 was when DNRC granted that permit, the developer Anderson, who was of course in agreement with all this, the developer Anderson went bankrupt. The property that's now owned by Reeves, which at the time was owned by Anderson, was foreclosed on by his Missoula Federal Credit Union, I believe, that foreclosed on that, took over ownership of that. And DNRC never followed up on it. And so Stevensville's actually been in violation since that date. We became aware of this, I don't know, it's 3 or 4 years ago, and we've been working to basically fix this ever since. We then entered into negotiations with Reeves to acquire an easement to those ponds so that we would have legal access and legal occupancy to those mitigation ponds, and would actually acquire the water rights. There's also a set of 3 water rights that will be used as the mitigation rights that will be transferred to the town as well. And those water rights were again supposed to be transferred to the town back in 2011 upon the NRC granting the permit. Those water rights are attached to this easement as Exhibit B. So part of this agreement is that those 3 water rights, the aquifer recharge or the mitigation rights, will be conveyed by Reeves to the town of Stevensville. Again, to clean up this, basically these dropped balls and mistakes that occurred back in 2011. And then it had this town of Stevensville in violation of Montana's Water Use Act ever since. So this is something that the town of Stevensville really has to do. Basically through negotiations, the way we've arrived at a place to cure this and remedy this problem is with this easement with Reeves. So we've been working on it for a few years. Both sides have their interests. It hasn't been an easy negotiation, but it hasn't been a litigious negotiation either. Both sides, I think, understood that it kind of had to get done, and both sides protected their interests, and we arrived at this negotiation. So that's how we got where we are. That's kind of a summary of the importance of it. That I basically answer any questions, but that's.
Do you want to explain to council on this last part about when Cindy Brown talked about the
Sure.
trust part?
There was a question that brought up by Cindy Brown due to her diligence that there's a loan that the Reeves have on the property. And Cindy brought up what's a real good question is, does the bank that holds the loan need to sign off on it? We received a copy of the loan document. The upshot is, going thoroughly through the loan document, I don't see where Reeves is out of compliance with this loan by granting this easement. In fact, there's even language on the first page of the document that anticipates this kind of action, where it says, the property together with all improvements now or hereafter erected on the property, and kind of highlight this, and all easements, appurtenances, and fixtures now or hereafter as a part of the property. And all replace, and then it goes on, all the foregoing, which is any easements that existed at the time or hereafter, all the foregoing are now referred to in this security instrument as the property. So this happens all the time. This is a common occurrence to take place, unless an action like this is specifically prohibited in a loan document, or there's provisions for how to handle it in a loan document, it's not a violation of the loan. Again, in my opinion, Reeves is the one taking on some responsibility with this, and he's reviewed this with his attorney as well. So, not being Reeves' attorney when I read, but being the town's attorney when I read this, I don't see a problem.
In a foreclosure procedure, it would have a higher lien priority than our easement. Our easement would be in a position under that. So, because that document's already recorded, we're coming in under it after the fact.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that the easement could be nullified through a foreclosure procedure.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It's not that common, but it is one of the things that can happen.
As I read this document, I don't see
Yeah, that's their general
the authority to do that granted to me.
But it comes into play when a foreclosure happens.
No, even under foreclosure, I do not see that as being provided for in this document. Actually, the way I read it, I actually see it being somewhat addressed, where it says again, I'm on the first page here, all easements, appurtenances, and fixtures now or hereafter are part of the property. And then the rest of the loan document refers to the property. And the property with any of these hereafter easements are defined as the property in this document. And any of the foreclosure language refers to the property. The property has been defined in this document as the property with any current easements or easements hereafter. So I think that's actually addressed in this document. And I don't see any legal authority to claw back this easement, even under foreclosure. So at least that's my opinion having read it. I don't look, Mr. Reeves' attorney is here. He's reviewed it on behalf of his client.
Go ahead, John.
We can,
Yeah. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Del Post. I am the attorney representing the Reeves family. My law firm is Post and Lepsock out of Missoula, but I live here in Florence, just north of the town. So first off, I want to say I agree with everything that my colleague, Mr. Miller, has said. I want to thank Mr. Miller for the tremendous work, the hard work that he's put into this. This has been a long time coming. He's been a real pleasure to work with. This has not been a fight, but he represents you. I represent the Reeves. We've come to a fair agreement based on what happened. The Reeves, lest any of you think that the Reeves are getting some huge windfall here, they're not. They're giving a permanent, perpetual easement to the town forever, for the town to come onto their property and to conduct the town's activities on the Reeves' private property. That's a significant concession that they're making. They're conveying these water rights that are significant. They're very valuable. And so I hope that I can dispel the notion that the Reeves are somehow gouging the town. They are most certainly not doing that. They live here, not quite in the corporate limit of the town, but they've been here a long time. They care about this community, and they're important members of the community as well. If I could address Councilwoman Brown, your question, good question. I think, again, I agree with everything Mr. Reeves has said. There are states where what you're saying is exactly true. And I don't know where that information comes from, or maybe it's your professional background. Yes.
It's my professional
Yeah.
background, and I've visited with several foreclosure attorneys, which every seminar you set through, that is something that they drill into your head.
Sure. And I think in other states, that is a real thing. I'm licensed in Arizona as well. as Montana. And in Arizona, we have a different approach to this. But in Montana is what we refer to and we know as being a lien theory state. There's lien theory state, and then there's a mortgage title state. And the differences are huge. In a mortgage title state, again, which Montana is not, if you give a bank a mortgage on your property, you don't actually hold the title of the property. You don't have the right to do things like grant easements, sell it. You can't do anything with your property because you don't actually have the title of the property in a mortgage title state. Montana being a lien theory state, we have, and I've been doing this for almost 20 years, as long as Ross has. Ross and I actually went to law school together. And in Montana, as a lien theory state, if you give a mortgage to a bank or a deed of trust to a bank like the Reeves did in this situation, the Reeves still retain legal and equitable title to the property. That's why if you look up, if you go to Montana Cadastral and you look to see who owns the real estate, you're not going to see Farmer State Bank as the title holder. You're going to see the Reeves as the holder of the property because they own legal and equitable title, meaning that they can sell it, they can grant an easement. The only thing they can't do is they cannot do something that runs contrary to a contract or a mortgage document that they have granted. So in this case, they granted a deed of trust to Farmer State Bank. And if the terms of that deed of trust prohibited the Reeves from granting an easement, then they would not be able to do it. And what you're saying, Councilwoman Reed or Councilwoman Brown, is exactly right. If the deed of trust prohibited them from conveying an easement, any easement that they would convey would be subject first to the more senior lien, which is held by Farmer State Bank.
What you said is correct. What I'm stating is Farmers has a lien on the property. That is in a senior position. It is recorded prior to our easement. And if the bank would be willing to do a subordination agreement to reverse that, so to put the easement in front of their deed of trust, that would definitely secure the town's position.
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Brown, I respectfully disagree with that. The deed of trust is a financial lien, a senior priority lien. It's a financial lien. The easement is not a financial encumbrance. It is an easement that encumbers the property, but it is not the same as a financial encumbrance that's granted. I've done bankruptcy. I've been doing this for a long, long time. The easement that is going to be conveyed to the town will be a perpetual, forever easement that can't be undone by a bank, by any other institution that may have an interest in the property. Respectfully, that's my opinion. And I'm not trying to argue with you, but again, that is the law in the state. And if you look at the deed of trust, it actually says that if an interest is conveyed to a third party, if you look at page 3, the bottom of page 3, it says if an interest is conveyed to a third party, the only remedy that Farmer State Bank has is to call the note due. That's the only remedy. So if Farmer State Bank has a big conniption over what we're doing, they have the right to call the note due and make the Reeves come in and pay off the note, which, by the way, the Reeves are more than happy to do, but that's not going to happen here. And so the deed of trust does not give the bank the right to invalidate the easement.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't invalidate it, but there's a chance that if something should happen down the road, it could be a problem.
Yeah, respectfully, it will never be a problem.
And the town attorney, did Craig make any comments?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, well, anyway, respectfully, again, the Reeves are here at the convenience of the town. So if the town wishes to make this deal, they are prepared to make this deal. They aren't going to cram this deal down anyone's throat. But we think it's a fair deal. And again, I want to thank the town for considering it. I want to thank Mr. Miller and other town staff for the good work that they've put into it. Thank you.
I guess I'll just follow that up with I guess the other thing from a practical standpoint, even if the lender was to foreclose, Stevensville would be in the exact same position with that lender that they're currently in with Reeves. The Stevensville is a it's a municipality. They run a public water system. They own a water right that's needed by the town. The water right on the face of it says it must be mitigated with these water rights that are owned by Reeves. This is attachment exhibit B to this agreement. It puts the town, one of the reasons we were able to get this easement negotiated is because the town is in a pretty much, and attorneys don't say this very often, but the town is in a pretty much 100% bomb-proof position to be able to acquire these ponds by eminent domain. That they're a public necessity. They're actually a legally public necessity. They're already prescribed by law. The water rights that are subject to this, even on the water rights, if the water rights that are currently owned by Reeves that are going to be transferred to the town under this agreement, if you look at the purpose of these water rights, the purpose of the water rights are for aquifer recharge. The only thing these water rights, these water rights that are currently owned by Reeves, the only thing these water rights can legally be used for is aquifer recharge to mitigate the water right owned by the town of Stevensville, Twin Creek water rights. So that's the position Reeves is in, and going into this deal. And so the town was sitting in literally a 100% bomb-proof position to acquire fee title to these ponds by eminent domain. The problem with the reason there was good reason to negotiate it from the town's perspective is while the town knew that they would for certain win in an eminent domain proceedings, the cost of an eminent domain proceeding is quite high. And then you still, throughout an eminent domain proceeding, that then just gives the town the right to buy the property for fair market value, and fair market value must be paid. So, and that would cost money. So that's why utility easements always happen, is because of public utilities always have the right of eminent domain. The property owners, and if they don't know that already, they end up knowing that. And so easements are negotiated instead of eminent domain proceedings because it's far cheaper and far less cumbersome for everybody. And so what I'm saying is, even if the bank were to acquire this property through foreclosure or some way, the town of Stevensville is still in that exact same position against the bank, where it's got a 100% bomb-proof right of eminent domain. So the bank, if they ever acquired this, they know that. They're not going to nullify this easement, because all nullifying the easement would do is put them in an eminent domain lawsuit that they're going to lose. But that, again, and I disagree with Councilwoman Brown's position on this. I think the law, as Mr. Post just recited, is basically reflected on the first page of this loan document, where it talks about the property together with all easements now or hereafter are part of this property. That's basically taking the lien theory state law of Montana and incorporating it straight into this document. That's the way I see it. And anyways, I just wanted to, but the main thing I want to do is let the town know what position they would be in the unforeseeable event that a bank did foreclose on this. You're in the exact same eminent domain position that you were with Reeves before this, when we first started this. So, anyway.
Thanks, Russ. Councilmember
I
Clark.
just have a question on, so we give them what they want. What happens maybe 20, 30 years down the road and something happens to them? How is that property gonna be secured?
The easement's in perpetuity for any of their heirs or assigns. So whoever owns that property at that time, that property is encumbered by this easement.
So we don't have to go through the same
Oh,
process again? It's
absolutely
done?
not.
No.
And that's the way utility easements are run through the entire state. I mean, utility easements for water systems, for sewer systems, for electrical power lines. Any public utility that you could think of, roadways, railroads, any public utility you could think of, they either are sitting on property that they own, or they're sitting on property with an easement. And those easements are in perpetuity and pass from one owner to the next owner to the next owner. And the public easements is something I've done a lot with there. I spent about 10 years as in-house counsel for Mountain Water Company, the private utility that used to own the water system in Missoula. We did easements every day. And we never were considered any of those easements subservient or secondary to a mortgage. And I don't know, I mean, we didn't even look at the mortgages on those because we knew we had this law behind us.
Any other comments from the council before I turn it over to the public?
Do we know how much is actually owed left on this property, or can we,
No,
you cannot ask that? Okay.
Councilmember Brown.
no, that would be something that is only, available to the Reeves. And that's it. You can't call and ask for somebody else's payoff figure.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
So I just want the public to know that, and Janelle, please correct me if I'm wrong. So the town will be paying the Reeves $25,000 cash. And they're going to be granted 9 equivalent hookups that they won't be charged for the hookup fee. They will be charged for the water and sewer. And 9 times how much, I kind of figured it out, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 50,000 for 9.
I don't have that figure sitting in front of me. You came by and got that this afternoon.
And I just took the very last one and times it by 9.
Well, then that would be the equivalent then.
Okay, so it's about $50,000 that the town will not be receiving for hookup fees. The other thing, the Reeves property is outside the city limits, so they're not in our tax base. I just need people to have that information. And I think that's all I have for comments.
Councilmember Smith.
Doesn't it also say that the property, if they have 9, like a little subdivision there, will not be able to be annexed?
No,
I
I
think I read that.
don't think that it says that. Hang on. It's on page 8. I had it highlighted. Maybe.
If you'd like, I could help you out on that.
Okay,
I'm
please, because I thought I had it highlighted somewhere.
What about the annexation?
So Councilmember Smith, I believe you're right. The easement does not require annexate to receive the 9 development units of water service and sewer service. The easement does not require annexation unless DNRC, for its water rights proceedings, requires annexation. And there is a pathway to get, right now the Reeves property is outside of the legally defined place of use. for Stevensville's water rights. So Stevensville does not have a water right, can't legally provide water to the Reeves property because it's outside their place of use. In order to do that, Stevensville would have to expand their place of use through legal proceedings to then be able to provide water to the Reeves. So there's a provision in the easement where if it's required by DNRC or an agency that the land must be annexed in order to serve water, then the Reeves agree to allow annexation if they want those hookups. But if an agency or DNRC does not require annexation, then annexation is not required of the Reeves. They could invite, a lot of times developers want annexation, but the Reeves wouldn't have to unless they're required to by DNRC, or unless, I should say, unless Stevensville is required to by DNRC. So, does that answer your question?
It does, but it leaves me with, if they don't annex in the 9, we'll call it like 9 houses that are built there, we don't get the tax revenue.
That would be
So it's a
correct.
perpetual, we are perpetually paying for this.
And there lies in negotiation, and the numbers that Councilwoman Brown recited about the $25,000 cash and the value for the 9 hookups. We had a number of these meetings within the town, and Greg Overstreet was part of that. And of course, Greg and I were asked, well, what's the cost of condemnation? Because that's what we're going to compare this to. And we're looking at probably a ballpark of starting out at about triple those numbers. So that's why both sides were motivated to negotiate. Believe me, if eminent domain was even close to the numbers we're talking about here, been very much recommending eminent domain, which is condemnation.
Councilmember Brown.
One thing, they will be paying for the water and sewer just like everybody else. It's just the hookup fees.
Correct. Yes.
It's just the hookup fees.
Yeah.
So one other comment is, it's with the new well stuff coming down and stuff, and DNRC and all the lawsuits with the wells. It's getting pretty hard for, I know, developers to get things.
It is. It is. And as somebody who, that's my wheelhouse. That's what I work within. It's incredibly
It's getting more and
frustrating.
more.
It only goes one direction.
Yeah.
So it's never gotten, I've been doing this, well, I was in the consulting arena, doing this as an engineer since 1989. And it's only, and I became a lawyer in 2006 and started doing this as a lawyer. So I've been doing this for, I don't know, you probably know math pretty well, 1989 until now, that's a long time. And it's only gotten so much more complicated all the time. And I think former Mayor Gibson could probably speak to that, because I know he was in the legislature back then. I used to testify at hearings in front of him, explaining to the legislature these kind of issues. So water rights are a problem. And as such, they're expensive. It's very expensive. And that, again, there lies motivation to get this thing negotiated. So.
Any further comments from the council? Councilmember Smith.
I think I heard that Mr. Overstreet was involved in this as well. And he's,
Yes, very much so.
okay. And I'm really kind of wondering why we didn't, this being a contract, have a written opinion from not only yourself and Mr. Overstreet.
Mr.
I mean,
Oates,
it's really nice, and I'm grateful that you explained this, but I didn't take my Prevagen today, you know.
Yeah.
I might forget a lot of these things, and it would be great to have it in writing, and I think it should be, because we're entering into a contract.
Yeah. All I can tell you in that regard is this easement's been in the works and in draft form for at least a year now.
over that.
And then Greg Overstreet has commented and reviewed this in writing numerous times. They're in email chains between us all.
He's never said he wasn't in agreement.
And he's always been in agreement. So he was very much a part of this process and has been in agreement with this process. Everything we ever did went through Greg as well. So.
Any other further comments from the council? Seeing none, we'll turn it over to the public. Any comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jim Battisti. I live down the street. I don't have a official prepared statement. I'm just kind of listening and responding as a citizen who drinks the water here. And I have a background in human health. I'm a scientist.
Can I interrupt your point of order? Could you address this direction, please? So I can hear. I have a hearing problem.
Yeah, so my name is Jim Battisti. I live down the street on 201 Mission. I've lived there for 21 years. I have a background in science, and I'm kind of wondering about how safe the water is, and specifically the forever chemicals that people have been talking about. And Hamilton, as you might know, had a problem with this. They're probably still trying to remedy it from a well that was right in the middle of town behind Super One. Just so I'm clear, is this easement of Middle Burnforth that we're talking about in those old retaining vessels in the ground?
No.
We're talking about ponds that are being used to refresh the aquifer so it has enough volume to get where it needs to go. And we're talking about perpetual licenses or whatever it is, but if nobody tests the water and it's not clean, and it has these chemicals in it, then we're just going to be dumping a bunch of stuff. So first of all, has this aquifer recharge source been tested for forever chemicals and all the rest of them that we already know? The second thing is we have this perpetual handshake agreement that's in the document, but it doesn't really address, or maybe it does, people's use of this in the future. And, a source of these forever chemicals come from our sewage. So we take the sewage solids that won't go into the river, and we sell them or give them away to farmers that spread them around as fertilizer on their property. Now, I know there's a couple of places down south of here that the water goes into the river from that stuff. So all of our concentrated poop from this plant gets spread onto people's, places. So is there anything preventing that from happening on our aquifer recharge? So has it been tested? Will it remain safe into the future? Pretty simple. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Yes, sir.
My name is Talon Ross. I live just down the street on Charlotte. I just had a question for clarification on the costs. It sounds like it's 25,000 plus roughly 50,000 for a total of 75,000 plus a loss of some connection fees would be what we're giving up.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
The collection fee is about 50,000.
Okay.
For the hookup charges that say if somebody was building a house within the town limits, they would, for one home, it's not
On a 3/4 inch line.
on a 3/4 inch line for water and sewer, it's just over $5,000. So we're giving that up. It's not actually coming out of the town coffers. It's just something that we won't be seeing.
Lost revenue.
So it would be a lost revenue. And the 25,000, yes, we'll be
Okay.
paying that.
And then the alternative would be, it sounded roughly triple, so starting at 150 to 200, and then we'd have to additionally buy
At
the
least,
land.
yeah, at least.
So it would be considerably more. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? No comments from the public? No further comments from the council? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilmember Gregg? Aye. Councilmember Barker?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
I prefer that we'd have a subordination agreement with it, but I know how important this is to the town, so I'll have to vote aye.
And Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. So with that, council permission, I'd like to take a short break so we could take Ross and Dell and Jesse, we can go in the office and sign the form. And then we'll come back and conduct our second item of business. Is that okay? With that, can I get a motion to adjourn for 10 minutes? Councilmember Barker.
I make a motion to adjourn for about 10 minutes.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's 10.
Council, please do remember the light
Appreciate it.
will stay on. Because I can't turn it off. I will pause it, okay?
No, we don't.
Okay. You guys don't have to ask you, open up the store.
The next thing.
Small fix.
Right.
Yes.
For closure, we're trying to but we're stuck, so. But one was a long day.
Doesn't feel like it was a hard spot. Terribly low.
We're not paying for those hookups, but we are.
That's why we need grants.
We're just using the funds to recharge the house because all they do is hold back. Also, doesn't count that. I want that knowledge, which is 2022, so. Okay, it's a 10-year. That's what we can hope for.
There's gotta be a way to expand the town financially. Good question. Raise the loans.
No, it's just that
But then I didn't want to.
since it's already recorded and we're coming in now, anything above us has a higher priority than what we have. So technically, it could be wiped out by foreclosure, but I'm not an attorney and so
But at that point,
I'm no longer a counselor.
Thank you for coming in and asking those questions.
I'm not sure what words it's in, but I'm hoping we are looking for a council person in Ward 2.
You raised some really good points.
We did.
Anybody in Ward 2, I'm campaigning for people to sign in and see Ward 2 to be on the council. Ward 2 is,
No.
That's Southside Fifth, Southside of Fifth Street.
yeah, Southside of Fifth Street,
Just for
draw a line along
that,
top of there,
and that was
that's Ward 2.
2 years
Yeah.
ago.
That's for you.
So they can't come close to that. They would
Okay,
have
just to
to-
make sure I've got the right area. Is there a
So, you know where Twin Creeks is.
Yeah, they bring us.
And then there's 3 ponds.
Yeah, that's what's coming up. No, you're weak, so.
It's on that map,
Right.
but it's, yeah.
So it's actually, it's kind of fenced off, so there's a way around. Contamination wise.
Okay.
Well, I'm just thinking for him first started with this. I didn't know. And so far, they have honored that.
Well, when you go down to that's where it's
Nothing is just, it actually has a
Word
lot
one.
more fresh fruit and fish, so there's not-
Okay, then go down. Then
And
there's
then
resolution.
it's stagnant. It probably does too, but it's more of those fresh water, so it's. Constantly running.
And this is the last page.
To the backside.
Oh, okay, you're
Just on, the second and fourth Thursdays, we're gone.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, when you look at it, on those ponds, anyway, so there's actually, there's nothing around that, so you have this down right here.
I think the answer was.
Which is good, because
I know where I
that's
live.
better.
I'm just curious, so, as a
Yeah, that
I think he's got, he's got a piece of different things. Water rights to these people. That are actually on the subdivided. Yeah, I understand. They're not big.
Well, if we're spreading.
And I know, but
So you guys should be spreading so much.
Yeah. So it's been, I mean, like, yeah, it's been, it works. As far as I know, it's only run course. It's starting to want to be.
That'd be a great thing.
Yeah, again, the handshake.
That's how it is. We did all this shit, so it's just like,
Was in control of
I'm
that.
pretty surprised.
Yeah, and you have-
Especially because I'm working on it
Yourself.
myself.
It's, but anymore, you can't take that chance. Yeah, it's, you don't know who's gonna be that.
That is.
That was the one thing that we had done, we announced, because they're getting up there. And Dad's the one who's driving, so Travis has to, and so if a family member decides that they want to figure out what to do, it's done. So they can't come back and they can't get tested.
We ought to put a trout farm up there. Canoe races.
They're not that big.
They're not that big,
No.
okay.
This one's the one that holds the most water in it, and it's as deep as this. These two are shallower than this one. I don't know much about it. Yeah, I don't know how high water goes.
So we have the town at our expense, we're going to put in some anti-flood relief and, infrastructure. It's just that, I don't, we just get our water rights in general, that's the biggest step right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're going to be in for it again.
It's never ending.
Doing that infrastructure.
That's what we talked about with that money, it's like, those are water towers or water, which needs to happen. They do work, it's the water. Yeah. I want to have it continue to supply the town.
That's
They
why
have
I'm
their
looking
water
for
too.
I want the help, I did. I didn't.
And if that water coming in, if you were working on water, it's water for
2 years.
it's nasty, it's this color or worse. You know, a lot of stuff.
In the time I've been here,
So the only way we can send.
you live further up than I do, so have you noticed it too?
If it fluctuates, there's some mornings I get up to do a shower, I've got full water pressure, and there's some days that and I don't know what the reasoning is or this.
Everybody's taking a shower.
Everybody's taking a shower at once.
You know, it's definitely, there's different water pressures.
Yeah, it's like, people like me that just show up here, that are more.
The agenda package should be posted online on the town website.
So like you that like, suddenly find out that, like, hey, we're not testing the water.
You know, yeah. Would they test for down at the, I know we send in the reports.
Cody.
Yeah, it's weekly, it goes in.
But right now, you have nobody certified here to test the sewer, but they're contracted with the guy from Tiger.
Yeah, so that,
But it has to be done
weekly.
twice.
Land?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's retired, but they contract with him because they have nobody certified. There's two people certified for water.
You have practical experience in test. And the DNRC has been coming down to town for training.
This is something I feel like it's sort of studies these days.
It is, and what exactly they test for in the water and stuff, I don't know.
It's, you'll get a town gets a report.
I thought it was.
The main report, the DNRC will sign off on. That's I don't think we have a real problem with water right now.
These big stadiums that they build, they have
Well, yeah, that goes on. You know, we don't put in a hop.
and they install
When it-
machinery, and they have to take it in pieces.
It's gets concentrated and then
First
spread
time.
around.
Well, there's been all these things that we gave
Crash.
Mr. Mickelson.
That are consumers who love it.
Yeah.
That-
Those couple days this week going to work, I was like.
Sure.
Yeah. It's horrible.
But it's a
I
matter
bet it's just way down there where the 93 or whatever that is when it rains. I always walk down the inside, so I'm looking at the outside lane, it's all extra wet. So.
All the school facilities, it's got their sidewalks.
And then they just go into our water, they get spread around on the fields. So I already know that it gets spread out on the fields, so.
Well, that's the county.
The sports policy.
That's good. She would be a problem.
I'd rather have snow than just wind.
It keeps coming over. So you got some of the.
We still haven't heard.
Oh, they sent all their people home on Wednesday. They sent everybody home. They're supposed to be coming back through town tomorrow.
Okay, because I was like, please come get my trash before Christmas. I can't get that before.
No, they have a break right now, so.
Yeah, they say it's on their website.
I'm sure.
No. We're just in a recess right now.
Gary Kuchansky in here anymore?
Oh, okay. I'll put it up tonight, if the wind dies down. Thanks, Mike, I appreciate that. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't see it, thank you. Okay, bye.
So, some.
No.
We're still in meeting, we're on break.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bye.
The county is approaching.
I thought you said you were gonna wait for it. Sorry.
She's living.
It's gonna be a while.
You know where the salt
Yeah, it is.
So, well, next time, wait till we play like we do.
Plant the solid.
Okay.
You know what to do.
Twice a month.
He's already there.
Oh, the water.
But we don't.
But he's already.
You just got it.
Oh, this is the.
Yeah. I told you that.
Yeah, we know.
Well, you can hear about that. I think you have some good copies. If you always.
How do you do it? It's just like this deal. It's gonna be the best.
Yeah, you don't have to get impact from.
Take care of yourself. That land is.
I mean, sometimes if it's.
But then when you don't get impact, then you expend it.
Where these comments are, just. Golden Lane. He's right there.
Oh, I look at
If you
that.
turn.
We used to go down Golden Lane, Golden Lane was scary. We just, walk to that street.
Yeah, I'm hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
But it's
This is
even
gonna be-
comments.
Having a sweet deal. That takes some time.
You know.
Oh, so-
This would be the NRC.
Which is why they're outside of city limits.
If you were to put the whole thing about building houses, that would have to go through the NRC.
there's no opportunities.
The city water, sewer, interest rates.
Continue to work with support other agencies and jurisdictions. Improvements to water control and treatment of that's okay. So, yeah, it's like, every other one of them. You know,
And
I don't think you would go with.
But- so what are they gonna do on Main Street? Is they keep building and building and building.
I know, man.
You know, it's crazy.
You know this.
I used to go there. What I do now is I go down.
Like this is going on. This water thing's going on.
Well, we're halfway through.
The water rights.
Oh, really? We're about halfway through, but we have, we're getting ready to discuss the policy, so.
Creekside River. This attorney here is a state attorney. 46 years.
For the appointment.
She was down here. She sold her house right after $100.
that was down.
I didn't know who it was coming in all once,
It's like weirdly snowing out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's more slushy than anything, but the slush is building up.
Oh, no, maybe we better have Jeff pick us up because our scale and something's wrong. Which is part of the reason that it annoys me that you don't hear.
We should, the town should have bought that property when we had a chance. From the credit union back in the day. I was team in that time, I think.
Before he even started negotiation with it. That is probably here. But again, the town should have the funds to be able to do it.
Always a problem, yes.
Yeah, see, this is, to me, this is a problem because, well, like you pointed out, but then the other one that I showed you.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a resolution.
We didn't know.
And he told me, he said, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, on the other side.
Oh.
Banged it.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that was handwritten.
Did you show that to me?
No.
Show that to me.
I mean, we're annexed in.
We can, if it's something on the meeting tonight, you can't show Wally.
The next time. he's
What?
back.
Oh.
You can't discuss anything on the,
Okay.
Yeah, they got what Attorney's saying about.
Send him a
That's interesting.
Exactly.
Exactly, so is it the same, when we think of that versus resolution? Is there a same situation? Yeah, I think it's the same, both of them had one to do or the other.
What's that?
I think it's the same though.
Yeah.
I probably should
Yeah.
check.
Supposed to use it in by-
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's exactly the same. I think it's exactly the same, except and I still don't think that's right either. I still think that this belongs over here, and this belongs over here.
It doesn't,
And there-
that doesn't, but
Raj Miller.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Raj.
They're supposed to be, they're supposed to be on the same lines, but it should be over here.
Whoa.
He's been working on this for years.
Well, you know, it's. You just want to get it somewhere. They're gonna do that.
Resolution of broken, not that either,
They don't care.
Well, so now
because he's away.
this attorney is really.
Very nice. Right, but they're existed twice for their housing fund. Resolution.
Gotta make money.
But in 2000. We have the same thing.
I'll tell you, the most strong animals, they're on West Coast. There was usually on a great falls, you go over there, and you had to deal with the motel where you can park. Got a special rate.
Who's there?
Last one we did was 2 weeks ago.
My God.
Right before that. So are they not expecting to?
They got all their copies.
Okay, thank you.
Whatever that number was. So you get to know everybody. We went up the Alaska Highway. And we.
Okay, Danny and Kevin? Yeah. We are going to start the meeting back up. Thank you so much for your patience.
We'll call to order the Stephenville Town Council meeting after a brief break. Thank you for your patience. We'll move along to item number B, discussion decision, resolution number 577, a resolution to adopt the Stephenville growth policy for 2025. The Planning and Zoning Board met on December 10th, and after discussion and some changes that were made, Mr. Councilmember Smith was there, along with some other people. They unanimously approved the growth policy, bring it forward for approval before the Stephenville Town Council. So here we are today. So with that, could I get a motion to start? Councilmember Barker.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 577, a resolution to adopt the Stevensville Growth Policy 2025.
We have a motion by Councilmember Barker. Do we have a second? Councilmember Bragg.
I have a second.
We have a motion. We have a motion. We have a second by Councilmember Bragg. Can we open it up for discussion from the council? Councilmember Brown.
I want to thank Mr. John Anderson and Councilmember Smith for taking my concerns to council the other day. I did notice that a lot of my questions were changed or modified, except for on page 111 in our agenda package. The pinpoints are still down on the river bottom, and that's misinformation to the public.
You say 111?
Yes, page 111. They still have those pinpoints down on the river bottom for the Thornton Hospital and the Denaire House. And that is misinformation going out to the public. I do know everybody worked on this quite hard. I want to thank everybody for that. I just, something that I just have a problem with is the pinpoints being in there.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes, I've also have a couple of things on page 58. We have some repairs and what have you here that are specific, and these, as let's see, who was Marilyn Wolf at the December 10th meeting, very pointedly that these kind of things should not be in a growth policy. These are specific projects that have to go through a whole different avenue. And say, for example, was it create street maintenance plan? That's good. Conduct paving on West 3rd Street, or conduct paving on 2nd Street. And then there's the conduct an assessment. That's fine there, but what was the next one? Conduct paving in a public alley behind First Security Bank. And, you know, these are the kind of things that don't belong in the growth policy. And the one that I'd like to see them taken out. And then we can discuss those particular projects, you know, in order and how they're supposed to be done. Also, I had a question. This goes to page 115. And it's talking about the zoning. And as I was reading this through, it shows that the council established a extended zoning district in 1997. So that was interesting to me, so I had to look it up. I found out that this was resolution 144, filed April 3rd of 1997, and it points out exactly what the extended zoning district is. And it's basically going on East Side Highway, you've got a mile and 500 feet on either side. And that's the district that's run by Stevensville, because Ravalli County never never has annexed that or, you know, they're not in charge of it. They've given it to the town to regulate. So then I got to thinking, do all of the members of the board, do they actually live inside this area of the town and the zoning district? And I asked for some addresses here, but never received it. So I'm at the point right now, I want to make sure that this is right and take this to our town attorney and have an opinion on this before I can actually go forward with this. Personally, would like to move that we table this until at least the 22nd of January, so we can have this looked into to make sure that when we pass this thing, when the board passed this up to the council, was it legitimate?
What part of legitimate do you mean here? Board members living in,
That do not live in the area. That do not live in the extended zone. We have a couple of members that live outside.
Councilmember Parker?
We have, how the boards are set up. They are able to be on those boards. They do have the right to put that input in there as well. These are in our board ordinances or wherever you want to call them. We put those boards together. We had several boards prior to, in 2016, when we put this together, that there were people that did not live within the city limits. They're the urban ones that we have on those boards. They
We
do
also
have
have
the
a
rights.
designation here of what urban is. It's specified
Within
in
10
144.
miles. 10 miles,
1 mile.
no.
It says so. And
Point of
500
order,
feet on
point
either
of
side.
order. Let's not get back and forth here.
That's all right.
I have to question why now, after 8 months, you're bringing this up.
Because I only saw it today.
And number two, we went through this, and Mr. Gibson can attest to that, when he was the mayor, that had to do with Angela living outside the area. We had to get an opinion from the county commissioners, which we got in writing, didn't we, Janelle?
Correct.
Basically stating that Angela was within the boundaries, the setback boundaries. She had the right over there.
This is what I'd like to see then. That's what my question is.
I would like to point out that like every other week, we were given this exact plan a week ahead of time. And if you took this long to read it, I would question whether or not you actually care, especially for these people who spent months working on this. I read through it a week ago when it was sent to me.
We don't need to hear this stuff.
Point of order. Just keep it
Yeah, that's
order.
what it is, a point of order.
So is there a motion, you want a motion on the floor to table it?
I want a motion to table this until the 22nd, till we can get a legal opinion on this. I understand that maybe it's already here, but I'd like to see it. So that's my move to table.
Councilmember Brown?
Do you have that where, from the commissioners
Yes.
or
Yes.
on
right there.
Angela, can that be provided to
Yes.
Councilmember Smith to review tonight?
Would this be the same for any other person that's living in the urban?
Back in 2022, brought up in conversation, the council voted to bring on another person that lives outside the town's limits, and that was Mr. Dwayne Gibson.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the specifics.
We have a motion on the floor to table it until Mr. Smith has an answer that he wants. Is there a second? Seeing none, motion fails. Okay, now moving on to further questions from the council on the growth policy. Seeing none, we'll turn it over to the public. Yes, sir.
Should I go up there?
You bet.
Wow. I wasn't expecting this, but, is there anything in the growth policy about the council? It's pretty obvious there's trouble here. How long did you have to review this policy? I'm getting a little bit anxious here.
The final draft was only given this week.
And your question is about whether or not people in the urban area have a right to vote on this?
Correct.
Huh. How long have you been on the council for?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, so I'm really surprised and disappointed that this council that I live in can't tell me whether or not my water is safe, and they can't come to conclusions on simple things that they've had for how many months? Give me a break. I'd like to join this council to try to fix that. Is there a way to do that? Not now, because I'm in the wrong area, right? So if I got a little place out here that was 500 feet away from the side of the road in Ward 2, would I be able to be on the council? As long as it's within a mile or 10. Is that it, 10 or 1?
There is a position open for a council. You would have to live in Ward 2. I'm currently did not rerun for Ward 2. So there is a seat available in Ward 2. The election was just done in November for the seat that the remaining 2 years on the seat for Ward 2 and a new 4-year seat in Ward 1. So if you're in Ward 1, there will be a seat available in 2 years, or maybe before, if, we have people stepping down off council on a regular basis, so there's always that possibility.
All right, well.
And it's been advertised for the Ward 2 position in the newspaper.
I was concerned about the new administration. That's why I initially showed up here. But now I live down the street, and this is something that would be way better to use my time than watching a football game. So I'm going to show up, and even if I don't have the voice of the special people, I'm going to at least say my stuff. This is crazy. 8 months? What?
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? Further comments from the council? Any comments from Danny? Hi.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. I just wanted to thank all of you for your time taking a look at this document. We spent a lot of energy and time getting comments from people in the public and engaging folks in Stevensville and folks that work for Stevensville. And I wanted to remind the council, in case you weren't aware, I approached Janelle about this project earlier this year. This project was funded solely from the Department of Commerce. Our funding comes from House Bill 2, which is out of the state general fund. This project does not at all cost anything to the taxpayers of Stevensville, and we procured Great West Engineering to help. They've got a wealth of expertise when it comes to creating road policies for communities like Stevensville. And I'm really proud of the work we did, and I think it's a really solid document, and it's going to put the town of Stevensville is going to be super competitive when they come in for grants to improve infrastructure projects and do a lot of other things. And so I hope you all get a chance to read it thoroughly and appreciate the hard work that went into it. And I thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Danny.
Who is she?
Danny Arps. She's from the State Commerce Department. She's the one that secured the $30,000 grant for this.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes. She's been helping along. She's come to meetings. She came to the farmer's market a couple times and put flyers out as far as getting the all summer long. So yeah, she's been very active in it. I'd like to add that the Planning and Zoning Board worked their butts off. Councilmember Barker has also. Them for over 8 months. They've got very involved. And without them, this couldn't have been done. I want to thank John Anderson who's been here, Angela Lyons, Tamara, the chairman,
Dwayne
Gibson,
Dwayne Gibson.
Wayne Gibson. I want to thank you all, Janelle, for all her work, keeping it all going around and around. So it's a big deal. Growth policy is a huge, huge deal for any town. And it puts us way up on the ladder, as Danny says, as far as securing grants and loans going forward. Because right now, we were so far down, going on 10 years, we're pretty much at the bottom. So, Councilmember Barker.
I'd just like to make one point about the fact that, yes, we have worked very hard at doing this. The other thing, by getting a legal document or legal advice from the town's attorney, that would also cost more money to do. Where this is totally paid for. We owe nothing on it. And yes, it is a legal binding. It was passed back in 2016 as well on the growth policy. Again, it was never something that was brought in front of the attorney. So I just wanted to put it out there that this is legal and we have worked very hard at it. 8 months getting information from the public, from sending door to door, putting the information out there. It's been in the paper. It's been many times brought in front of the council as well. And I think it's very well put together, and I thank them, Great Northwest for also doing it, and then the Commerce for putting this together for us. It's been a lot of fun working with them, but also a lot of information that we had to work through.
Okay. Any further comments? No.
I need Kevin to read an addition for the airport
Right.
that he'd like to add. Brian Germain, the airport manager, emailed back and forth with Kevin from Great West Engineering about this. And so Kevin's gonna read that, and then you guys could add that in, or however you wanna do that. Yeah.
Right, can everybody hear me?
We can't hear.
It's really low. You guys go ahead and start talking. I'll look at the volume problem here.
I'm gonna, read an email from Brian that was sent. It said, Janelle chaired the airport section of the growth policy and wanted to offer suggested revision that more accurately reflects the status of the fuel farm. The airport will soon see welcome improvements to its self-serve fueling system. The town currently leases the existing 30-year-old fuel farm. In early 2025, the town secured 100% funding for a brand new 12,000 gallon self-serve fuel farm. Construction is scheduled to begin in early 2026 with completion expected in the second quarter of 2026. This project represents a major win for the airport as it will significantly increase overall fuel sale revenue by eliminating the lease payments associated with the current system. Other major projects for 2026 include pavement maintenance and rehabilitation, all of which are being completed in accordance with FAA grant assurances and our capital improvements plan. Looking ahead to 2027, the town is developing a strategy to construct new town-owned T-hangars. Rentable aircraft storage is in high demand nationwide and particularly in our region. The The rental revenue generated from town-owned hangars would make a substantial and positive impact on the airport's annual budget. Thank you.
Further comments from the council?
My comment was, I didn't hear a word.
And I apologize for that. I don't know why the audio is not coming through on that one tonight.
Does anybody have a summation of what he was saying?
So what Kevin talked about tonight is where we had some things that were in the growth policy when Planning and Zoning Board adopted that the other night to pass on to you guys. So Brian read back through that again and wanted to make sure that the wording that was around the regards, you brought up some regards around fuel farm, the regards around T-hanger. And so Brian provided him with more of an explanation on what that fuel farm for the town and what process they're in, and the process that the town would go through to put in their own T-hangers. So you made mention the other night when you were at the meeting that it made it sound more like it was in the works or was done, not in the works, that it was done and going forth. The wording that they're gonna add to that then is more laying that out.
I saw the new wording and it's
Yes.
much better.
Yeah. And that's what Kevin was just talking to, and Brian spoke to him last week about that as well.
Thank you.
If you all can hear me, I could read it for you if it's clear. Can you hear me better?
Not much, Danny, I apologize.
That's okay.
Janelle, I dropped the actual verbiage from the email in the chat, so if anybody after the meeting wanted to read it, they can.
Okay, thank you.
No further comments from the council on the growth policy? No. Wait for her. Okay. Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilmember Bragg?
Aye.
Councilmember Barker?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
No, only because the pinpoints are in error and I do not like having bad information go out to the public.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-1. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Call later. Thanks.
How come all you have a chance to, you get a document about